Okay. Good morning, everyone, for coming back. I think let's start the session. We have just spent another hour in Q&A, but I have spent much of the time in the Q&A to introduce Python. So let me share my screen. Okay, first, do you have any questions from the pre-work? In case you haven't participated the QA hour, you can stick up your hand, or you can ask in the chat board. Okay. Okay, no questions? I have found one comment that you do not find the pre-work. The pre-work refers to what have you found that is not clear, or you want to invest more after viewing the online lecture. If you haven't found the online lecture, you probably need to follow more closely our MS team or the UTS Online. Let me get a new share. Chat participants. This is our MS team. In the discussion board, discussion channel A, you have a file section, and in the file section, because we start to use the team from week 2, and in this week, we have relevant documents here. And in the public info, you have the link to the video lecture you need to view before entering this class. Also, please note that just in this morning, I realized that in this morning's QA session, I realized that because now we are remotely connected to each other, we do not come to a physical classroom. Therefore, it does not make too much cost if we allocate a separate QA hour rather than stick all together in a whole 3 hours. So I will leave this opinion to you. I have created a poll. You can enter your opinion about whether we change the hour to 1 to 2 p.m. Monday, or stick to this hour. I think the 8 to 9 a.m. is a bit too early. We do not have too many people participate. Okay, the number is changed, but changing number will cost you attention. So therefore, let me change the screen and come back to our lecture slides. But you can keep you can keep voting your opinion there. Assignment 1. There are, from my mind, there are a few repeated questions about assignment 1. Let me try to list them. This is not a complete list. First, when you submit your assignment, if Turnitin report a very high similarity, but you know that the similarity is mostly because of the job list, because everybody use very much overlapping job list, then don't worry. We do not have a hard line threshold of similarity, degrees of similarity. We just use that as a reference, and we will judge for our by ourselves what caused the similarity. So the overlapping job list won't necessarily get you into the situation of plagiarism. Don't worry about that. Second, you do not need any very formal citation to the information in your job list, such as you can just say in the advertisement too, the job requires such and that skill. I have this and that level, stuff like that. You don't need to make job advertisement to a very formal reference item at the end of the document. On the other hand, if your discussion, if it becomes necessary for discussion, for example, job advertisement needs a skill of statistics, and I have been doing that and this in statistics. I have followed this course. Maybe I have participated that project. My contribution is in this field. During this discussion, sometimes you need some technical terms or notions. In this case, you might want to refer to other resources, and those resources should be listed as a formal reference list. It very much depends on your own discussion. And we do not have a general advice of the word count. If we do have, I will put the word count in the description. It's very much depends on the necessary of your discussion. So just to cover all the points sufficiently. But from our experience, it seems like you will need something like 1,000 words to cover everything. But if you really think your report is concise and you can use less words to do that, then it's not a problem. Oh, good question. If the QA session can be recorded. Yes, we will record the QA session. It makes sense. Okay. Some of us have classes in the proposed time of the new QE session. I think we can arrange an extra QE session attended by some of the tutors. No, there is no limit on how many skills you need to list in the you want to list in the sorry discussion of job seeking. If you have 15, then you can discuss the 15. But of course, if they are very, very, very similar skills, you might want to merge them into, well, sections, or you can make subsections that makes the discussion more structured. At minimum, if you recall, we have a sleek looking guy, the picture like a guy with a title modern data scientist. There are 4 rooms in each direction of the guy: communication, mathematics, programming, stuff like that. I would say at least 1 skill belong to each section. Yes, of course, you are encouraged to group the skills. There is no expected number. It's very much dependent on yourself, how you structure your report. Do we have to put in the table, or can we just write our skills down without it? It's preferable you have a table. No, you should have a table. You should have a table of skills needed, your current status, your plan to reach the desired status, the desired level. Everything is summarized but kept very brief in the table. And after the table, you can do the discussion with respect to the table. Hi, Sanis. I will make you a co-host. Bear me a moment. Okay. Yes, it is possible to resubmit the work. You can resubmit unlimitedly until the deadline. Don't try to submit after the deadline, please. Is there a specific format? We did not provide an example. You just need to section the document as required with a table in there. When will you get our marks back? Are you watching on my screen, or my screen share is not working? It's stated here. You can expect the feedback in about week 6. If you call this week as week 3. Okay, I have people need to leave early in the session. So yes, okay, I will change the order of this lecture. In the next part, let us discuss assignment 2 first, before we enter other contents, so that if you need to leave early, you can take back the most important points home. Screen share is working? No. No. Please don't include a cover sheet. Yes, you just pretend you are going into the data analytics. Okay. So the planned activity in the next is a quiz, but don't be panic. Don't be panic. The quiz does not carry any marks. It's just a list of questions for which we invite you to consider. But we read this later. After we have done introducing assignment 2. Don't worry, we will not handle out assignment 2 this week because we need to prepare the data and the task for you. But I can give you a description of what is to be expected in assignment 2. Okay. So for assignment 2, let me emphasize the first thing clearly. You are not asked to build data models in assignment 2. Repeat, you are not going to build data models in assignment 2. Okay, so the point in assignment 2 is you are given a set of data, you'll try to make sense of it, and you will make up a plan on how you would like to build data models on the data. You are not going to build data models on the data, you are going to make a plan on how to build models on the data. Does that make sense? That's the general point. Okay. First, you will give each student will have an individual data set. Actually, it is a big data set. We will randomly sample a subset for each individual of you. So don't try to look at each other's answer. It won't work. You will have your own data set. Your data set will have its unique statistics, its unique characteristics up there for you to discover. So try to make your own discussion. Of course, there are some common things among those data sets because they are from the same task. So some discussion can be shared with each other, and you can discuss the task with each other. It's not a closed exam. So after get the data, I assume everybody have watched the pre-work video of this lecture. You understand the simple term data is a very much loaded notion. There's a lot of different aspects to explore in the data. You need to identify the types of the attributes in your data set. And of course, you want to discuss the ramification, the consequence of have these types of data and have some kind of target of the analytic task. You need to compute the meaningful statistics for some of the attributes. For example, you might want to have a look, what is the mean value of the data? What is the standard deviation? This is a very useful exploratory stuff to do. I later give you an example. Treasure hunt, explore the data. try not to just read the slide because you can read it yourself. I try to explain what is in the slide. If you have been here in the QA hour, I have demoed a little bit about using Python to do data analytics, and I improvised the BB lesson, the BB lecture. And in the BB lecture, the example I've used is to visualize the data from some experimental view. Therefore, you can have an intuitive impression of the data. You can do some data pre-processing because not all the types of the attributes is so convenient for mathematical manipulation. You probably want, because data analytics, when it boils down to the basic operations, every operation must be able to be processed by a digital computer. And that means those are all mathematical operations. But consider that if you have some data, attributes that is categorical or nominal, for example, the color of an apple, they have red, or green, or golden. If you write that as English words, it's pretty difficult to process letter strings in mathematical functions. So we need to do some pre-processing. Therefore, without losing the meaning of the data, without losing the meaningful information of the data, we convert the format of the data from its raw format to something that is convenient for mathematical processing. You can do some clustering, which means you can, before you have figured out what target value you are after, you can come up with tasks by yourself, and you can let the data to explain themselves. And do it when we hand out the assignment. This will be very clear. So because we have saved a bit time in the first question section, I think we have the luxury to have a little example of what you expect to do. I kind of find Kevin, it's not 100% clear. What does that mean? You are not asked to perform data modeling, but to come up with a plan to perform data modeling. Okay, so let me do a new share. To make it very clear, this is an example of what I'd like you to do for the at the target level, I'm going to explain the task. I'm not showing an example of how to do the task. I'm not requiring anybody to perform the task in a programming language. You can do that in Nine as well. So make this clear. This is an example of what to do, not how to do. In the early session of the QA session, I have used a Python script to read the iris data, the flower data we have encountered in the class. After load the data, you have the two parts. Let's concentrate on the X part And that is because you will given the X part first. You will look at the X part first. So for this data, it is not very surprisingly, it is not so complicated that it deserves too much exploratory analysis. You have 4 attributes for each sample, and the 4 attributes are all numbers. So you don't have so rich of the data types you want to explore. Okay, but for example, if I want to maybe draw those attributes on a screen to visualize them, you immediately notice that if I draw all these attributes using a similar scale, that will exaggerate the contribution of some attributes and makes the contribution of other attributes not so obvious. Look at this attribute. The fourth attribute, the fourth column here, the variance is pretty small. Some 0. No, it has some variance, but in general, the numerical value is smaller than those attributes. So it makes sense to have a look at the statistics of those variants as variables or attributes. Because X is an array, and the array is a NumPy handled object. It has 2 axes. This is axis 0, and this is axis 1. By axis, it means the directions along which the array stores its values. I want to calculate the statistics along this direction. Okay. So have this statistics. Maybe sorry. We can compute the standard deviation. Okay. Perhaps you can do something like a more interesting. I have let's create a data frame using this X. And pedal length, you have pedal width, you have sum length. What was sum length? Let me have a look. Description. I need to print it out. Oh, sample. Sample width, pedal length. It's the next column, and pedal width. It's sorry. Okay, don't worry about this warning. We have a data frame recording all the samples in this data set. Let's visualize it. We will create a two-dimensional visualization. Let the x dimension to be sample length, and the y dimension to be maybe pedal length. See what we have. This is a visualization of the flowers. It provides you a very nice interactive way of exploring that. Perhaps you will find, okay, if I call this is a cluster, whether this makes sense? I think it's obvious. Let's go back to this. If I call this is a cluster, I think most of people will agree, okay, this looks very like a cluster in the data. Even we do not know the target value of this group of flowers. It looks like a separate group of flowers. Does that make sense? But if you want to call, maybe this is also a cluster, you probably want to give it more discussion to justify your choice, or you want to include some other ways of analysis, or maybe a better way is to consider use other dimensions to check whether your clustering is consistent with clustering using other dimensions. And when you do exploratory investigation, you might want to see, okay, does this data have some outliers? Is this an outlier? Can you count this outlier or not? This kind of questions. Okay. So, and of course, for this data set, goes back to the description of the task. For the data set we have seen in the flower, all the attributes are not numerical ones, which is very convenient for the processing. But consider if the attributes is not so convenient. Rather, it may have something like the gender of a person, the color of hair, stuff like that. You want to use some pre-processing methods to convert this piece of information into numerical ones. If you watch the preview lecture of this class, you will find Paul has introduced a lot of such processing techniques. Okay. So that is what we want to do in assignment 2. After you have explored data, you may come up with some idea to build a good model of the data, or to build a good predictive model of the data to predict some target function. We'd like to use that kind of models, and we will employ some kind of processing procedures. Please come up with please do the discussion with respect to the exploratory data analytics results. We don't give you a example work, but I think in the handout, the structure of document will be clear. Okay, in the next exciting part, the quiz. You can find the this is a quiz. By the way, actually, you can find the quiz here in our team site, channel A, files, week 3, quiz. Okay. There's no marks. The quiz problems are what phrase of the CRISP methodology, in what phrase of the methodology does it make sense to explore a data set? If this technical term does not make sense to you, that means you might be, it's good time to check out the preview video. And why do you think it is useful to perform a data audit? Probably we need to simplify the presentation of question 3. There's a difference in CRISP-DM between where you would evaluate the result of running a data mining method and where you evaluate the results themselves. This is a bit mouthful. There are 2 stages of evaluation. You have decided to use some data mining method. It is like after you have decided to program some algorithm, you need to make sure that your program actually has actually implemented your plan correctly. This is the low level of verification. And let's say if the implementation works well, the technical details are all well implemented, and there is a higher level of evaluation, whether the original plan was correctly made at all. So please appreciate the difference. I think I think the complexity of the difficulty of the question is embedded in the complexity of how it was asked. When you elaborate what the question is asking, it seems like I have also answered the question. Excuse me. Question 4. What is the target of the class variable? Question 5 is about the attribute types. And question 6 is about the term of, you may have heard the catchy word term, the curse of dimensionality. So in the next, I will set up breakout rooms and assign each student to a breakout room. Please form discussions. Please actively engage in discussions with your classmates in the breakout room, and our tutors will attend the rooms to help out and perhaps to encourage discussion. After maybe 15 or 20 minutes, we come back to the main session and we summarize what we have learned. Okay. We have tested the breakout room in the 8 to 9 a.m. hour. It worked, and it would continue work, hopefully. If it does not, don't panic. Join back to the main session using the same ID and password. If it broke up really badly that it blew myself out, I will come back in 5 minutes or so. So keep trying. If it's really broke out badly, I will update everybody in the team site. Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me, June, do you want to assign the tutors to the rooms, or?
I will. Or you can. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hi, we will have 6 rooms. Aisha, can you attend room 2? Hassan, room 3. Mengyao, room 4. Nestara, room 5. Sanis, room 6. Okay? Okay.
Hi, everybody. Just wait a little bit until the other students come back to the main session. Thanks.
Hi, Jen. Your microphone is mute. We can't hear you.
Thank you very much.
That's okay. So we are here with quite a good productive discussion with quiz number 3. And
Okay.
I hope, yes, and I hope now students can discuss more in detail with you. So go ahead.
Okay, that's good. That's good. We did well in room number 1 as well. Mm. Hi, hello. Hi, everybody. I have created a poll with respect to the 3 multiple choice questions in the quiz. So please check that out, and then we start our discussion. Don't be worried if you are the minority of some poll. It's encouraged to share a different view of those questions. Some of the questions does not have black and white answers. So and at this stage, as you are making your choice, maybe I have add some my own comments. So it is similar in when you entering in any particular subject. When you are learning something, for a period, it seems like you just struggling to understand the technical jargons in the area. Is not very enjoyable when you try to struggling to understand other people what they are talking about, rather than make sense of the logic in the discussion. But it is the later, the logic of the discussion, the reasons, the motivations why people talk this and that is important. For the names of the concepts, of the notions, it's just a convenient way of calling concrete set of relationship or notions, therefore to facilitate the discussion. So don't put too much emphasis on the names of the concept. Try to form your own understanding. Oh dear, Alexander, you have a very nice background. That seems like you are performing a space travel. But to save our bandwidth, can I please ask you to stop sharing your video? Okay. So look, I think question 6 is really a good question. We have practically the same number of true and false scores. Okay. So for the first question, well, we have the vast majority of people have chosen have chosen at the data understanding point. We need to do the sorry exploratory study. There are some people have chosen business understanding. Can I invite one of you to share your opinion why you think it makes sense to try to understand data even right from the business understanding part? Hello. Okay. So in the business understanding, when the task is data analytics, it makes sense to understand what is the point of okay, look, like what is the point for the business? If you consider put yourself in the boot of the boss of the business, why you need to put money in this project to get some analytic result? How that would help your business? You probably want to consider this kind of question even before you start collecting the data, or you start try to make sense of what is the data that is now resting in your hard disk. So it's more efficient to start considering the understand data in the data understanding part. And of course, I think you can, for the short answer, you can view the video lecture from 8 minutes 30 seconds with a lengthy discussion about the data understanding from Paul, and the majority of you have chosen data understanding. For data preparation, if you did not understand the data clearly, the preparation, how would you like to do the preparation before even understand the data? For example, if I'm giving you the flower data, and you have 4 numbers of the data, and with the data you have an integer 1, 2, or 0, 1, or 2. If you do not understand that the 4 numbers are for measurements of the flower, and the integer is itself just a nominal one, it could be replaced with A, B, or C, or the name of the flower, Satosa versicolor or Virginica, then how can you set off to prepare the data? Won't you make a mistake, such as do some numerical processing on the 0, 1, 2 labels? For modeling, you do need to understand data and prepare the data before the modeling. But I do like to let's hear the opinion from people who think the understanding need to be done in the evaluation or deployment stage. Does any of you want to share your opinion on this? Hello? I think you can unmute yourself, please. In in the chat room, in the breakout room I have chaired, I heard an opinion that it at the deployment stage, sorry, your action actually meet the data, and therefore your data model is put into usage, and therefore at that stage we start to understand, we start to explore data. We have raised hands. Okay, good. Someone have raised hand. Please stick up your hand if you have something to add to this. It's rather boring to sit here and talking all the time without. Okay, good.
Arjun, there is a student.
Yes.
He is muted again. I have unmuted him. So if you can see the chat, there are two students who want to talk.
I just wondering, could you repeat the question? Like I couldn't really, it sort of broke up for a bit. Could you repeat the question that you asked? Like the opinion that you wanted from us? What was the question that you had?
My question.
Yeah. Like for us, yeah.
I didn't mute myself, I think. Okay. My question is, there are a small number of people have chosen we need to explore the data when it comes to evaluation or deployment. I want to hear from those people, why do you think we can wait not to understand the data until we do the evaluation or deployment? Don't we have volunteers? Hi, Thomas. You can stick up your hand. There is an option if you click participants. In that it's not very intuitive. If you click participants, it will open a panel. In that panel, you have option to stick up your hand, and we will see that. Excuse me. Okay, let me continue the opinion I heard from my from the breakout room I chaired. Some people, I think I can share results. Some people thought it is when at the evaluation or deployment, the data model, the action we want to apply to the data first meet the data, and therefore at that stage we want to understand the data. And my objection to this opinion is that as a business, data analytics, if you are going to the data analytics, in this business, your deliverable to your customer is the action plan. Okay, so before really understand the data, before you have some historical data to build up the action plan, the predictive model or the data understanding model, you won't be able to deliver the action in the first place. So you need to determine what action according to data. And according to whatever data, you need to go through those business understanding, data preparation stages. So I'm sure you will have good answers. Why do we need to perform data audit? Don't we? Why do we need to perform data audit? Okay.
Because we want to make sure the data is like correct, like we're using like the correct data essentially.
Can I explain your can you elaborate correct, because you simply cannot see the fact is correct. Look, if the data is accurately observed from the real world, you can simply not say, okay, the fact is correct. Fact is fact. It's a factual thing. It's a being out there. So, but there is something might go wrong when you observe the fact, right? So maybe a sensor broke. Maybe, hello? Can you hear me, guys? Hello? I think I have muted you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay, good. Maybe a sensor broke out. Maybe the statistician going out to collect data accidentally used different units, which create problems in the record. You need to solve this kind of unnecessary complexities in the data.
Yeah, so wouldn't it just be like you're trying to find like, you might have like in regards to sensors, like you might, if the sensor breaks, you have missing or empty values. Is that what you sort of mean? Like
sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Okay, and question 3. There is a difference in crisp data mining between where you could evaluate the result. I think I have elaborated this question before. So what is the difference in the two kinds of evaluation? Do we have any opinions? No one? I think previously I repeated the question, and the repetition of the question itself answers the question. When you build the data model, you need to make sure that the model you have been that has been built actually is the model you were intended to build. You intended to build. You didn't make some technical errors, like you accidentally include bugs in your implementation script. You have not pre-processed data properly, stuff like that. So you want to make sure that the data model works as intended. But there is another level of evaluation. You might also want to make sure that the data model works. The entire framework of modeling data, when it proceeded as planned, actually aligned with the business understanding. If it does not, you may need to go back to the scratchboard and think about the things again. Okay, and what is the target or class variable? I think this is a question you can answer. So back to the flowers example. In that example, we have petal length, sepal length, width, and the species. What is the target or class variable? Okay. So the target variable is something that you want to predict. Somebody want to talk?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, good.
I mean, all I'd say for that is that the target or class variable is any value that needs to be modeled. So in this case, or it's a model or can be predicted by other variables. So in this case, the flower, my understanding is that the flower would be modeled. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Kind of correct. You model the relationship between the observed, the attribute variable and the target variable. And the relationship you have established in the according to your data will be used to predict the target or the class variable in future using only the attributes.
Right.
So put it simply, the attributes are variables that will be always available to you, to the user. While the target variable was available in the training data. You collect the historical data, the value of the target variable are available there. But in future, when you have deployed the model, the target variable is not available.
Yep, that makes sense.
So let's go to question 5. Okay. It's a multiple choice question, and most people have chosen the intended answer is ordered, and the subtraction is allowed to calculate this distance. Most, I think, by an interval variable. This is an example that the name of the notion is not that important. What is important is the meaning in the name. So this kind of attributes gives some metric meaning of the value. Let's see. It must be ordered. We can see that, okay, a mark of 65 points is better than a mark of 60 points. It's worse than a mark of 70 points. Okay, that is ordered clear enough. And it's a metric. Metric means it's not only ordered, it has it can be used to calculate distance for comparison. We can see mark of 65 is better than a mark of 60 by an amount that is only half of how a mark that is 75, which is better than the mark of 65. This amount. Okay, the later difference is 10 marks. The former difference is 5 marks. Therefore, the later distance is twice of the former difference. Those difference are proportional. Does that make sense? Maybe not that much. It's a bit technical. So just keep that in mind. If you can think these values as coordinates in a Euclidean space. And by fixing all the coordinates, you have points in the space, and the distance of the points can be measured. So option 4, I think can be explained by a metaphor of coordinates of a point. It does not make that much sense if you try to calculate the product of two coordinates. Well, we have very. I think finally I can create a debate between two groups of people who think. For people who think that who have chosen true, that because of the curse of dimensionality, it is very difficult to have meaningful data analytics if you do not have very large number of data samples, given each sample has a large number of attributes. Who agrees? Who select true in this question? Can you share? Okay, good. Unmute.
No, sorry, I selected false. My bad. Sorry.
Okay, then okay, don't worry. Then
Yeah, sorry.
why you select false? Why you think it is still possible to do that?
Like, I think Paul mentioned in the lectures, like it's important to be aware of the curse of dimensionality.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't stop us when we're doing analytics. So yeah.
Good. That makes much sense. Actually, I'm on your side because in my PhD study, I did this. Yes, you could do meaningful analytics even if you have limited number of samples, but each sample is super complex. I can give you a metaphor to make this technical notion clearer. Think about if you are an automobile editor, you want to write a report about what is available in the year 2020. You compare the new cars made by Toyota, made by Ford, like that. You want to write a review like that. Each modern car is a hugely complex beast. So you probably, to make your review meaningful to your customers, to your readers, to your audience, you probably do not need to print out this volume of car manufacturers, so whatever kind of manual or instructions or design blueprint. You do not need to elicit each individual details of the car. You just need to compare two cars in some meaningful aspects. Does that make sense?
So you're not going for the entire picture. You're just sort of going for like a local, like I think in the slides, like.
Yeah, the relationship, if you have limited data samples, you may want to concentrate the analysis to the relationship between those samples.
Right. So a smaller like set than just in regards to in comparison to a larger set.
Yes. If you
Right.
have a lot of samples, it may make sense to concentrate on the relationship between the attributes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Cool.
Okay. Okay, fine. we have done the quiz. I don't want to put too much time in the data analytics 2 game. Let me, how do I stop sharing? Okay, good. So there is a section that that invites you to search those data analytics tools and consider their usefulness in the data analytics. Instead of let everybody surf on the internet for half an hour and take an hour to discuss this, I have made let me I have too many windows. Where is my new share? I have made a spreadsheet on over T. Yes, here. Files. I have listed a few of them. So I invite you, please try not to do a vandalism because we don't have a mechanism to stop everybody to do that. Yes, try to put something, your understanding in the spreadsheet, which is both helpful for yourself and helpful for everybody as a lecture note. Maybe, for example, I kind of know a little bit about PyTorch, which is my favorite to do deep learning tasks in Python. I would like to see PyTorch, if I give it a value from, for example, 0, irrelevant. Hey guys, please help me by moving your cursors here or somewhere outside the table. Thank you very much. 1, some watch related, or maybe until 5. Very helpful. I would like to see PyTorch when it comes to business understanding. No, not relevant at all. I would not like when I get into a boss office and start talking analytic projects and just fire up my PyTorch in front of the boss. Wouldn't be a good idea. Data understanding, I'd see it helps somewhat because with PyTorch it comes some other sub-libraries that helps you to process text data, to process graph data, to process image data, of course. For modeling, it's super helpful. For data preparation, stuff like that. If you like, you can. I think you can form your own opinion. Maybe, let's see. I'm Jun. My staff number 1117. Sorry. Okay, I don't disclose my staff number. Okay, and the 2, I'm searching, I'm interested in PyTorch. Well, I think this for business understanding 1, 0. Okay, for data understanding some useful tools for data preparation. I'd like 3. Reason, more useful. For modeling, 5. Super training, 2. For evaluation, 5. First, I would like the computation facilities provides for deployment. I would give it 4. Not good for mobile. Okay. Column width. Let's see. Oh, too large. So after the class, if you want to contribute something like this, okay? Oh, we still have another discussion to go, but we only have 10 minutes for the next discussion. Well, this is really an interesting one. Okay, let me hand out this. We do not have time for the discussion, but let me hand out this task. And I think by thinking about this task, it will be super helpful for your assignment too. Consider that I am a boss. I know nothing about data analytics, but I have money. I'm a teacher of a class, and I have some data, historical data, for which I don't really know how to put into meaningful use. I have student ID, name, courses, subjects, complete subjects, marks, and grades. It's pretty much like the incomplete transcript, something like a study plan for course something you got from SAU. And I got some course data. The course data consists of, for this course, you have these core subjects. Each subject has its prerequisites or something like that. And my goal is to help students using my data, which is okay. Perhaps I want to increase the students' learning experience in my class. And as a start of as a class, know that at the start of semester, we have a group of students for which we don't know the rich information as we had for historical students. We only have their names and IDs. And the task for you is to apply the CRISP-DM framework. That is, to do business understanding, data understanding, stuff like that. And make up your plan. It is a shame that we don't have much time for each of I mean, for breakout rooms, and for each of the group to discuss your plan in the class. But it's very helpful to think about that. The immediate question you might want to ask is, we don't really know what to do in this task. What you need to do, the first step, you need to talk to the client, that is me. Because in most of the practice projects, your client do not have a clear business understanding. The business understanding does not automatically comes from the client. It comes out your communication, your discussion with the client. So I'd like to invite someone of you to talk to me and try to elicit my idea of how to improve the student experience. Any volunteers who want to have a small chat with me? Chat. Take later in the semester? Fine. Okay, we have some volunteers. Good. Hello. 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 Can you unmute yourself? I try to unmute you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jin. So I see you've got a lot of historical data of all your students, and now you have a new student. What did you want exactly for this new student? What is it that you would like to understand or raise?
Okay, that is a good question. And if you ask me, if you force me to make that explicit, that is helpful. I might want to see, okay, for the historical students, I have their all the data, including their final marks and their final satisfactory with my subject. I want to improve both their learning outcome and their satisfactory. If we talk this in long term, I may also want to follow a group of students until they graduate and either enter the higher degree of research or study, or they enter the employment market. I want to they locate themselves in higher income jobs or better higher degree institutions.
Okay.
Okay. if this is my object, how could you create some understanding from my data for historical students? I have their academic record, I have their final outcome, and I have the course data, the design of the course.
I would correlate the design of the course and group together people who had greater outcomes and see if there's any correlation there between design of course. Or yeah.
Correlate the course data. This by correlate, do you mean because course data is a very complex, structured beast? You have yes, everybody have entered the enrollment system knows that. So
in that case, I'm unsure.
Okay, fair enough. So yes, maybe we can have check one last question for today. If you don't want to stick up your hand, you can ask in the chat board, and we finish for today. In the next lecture, we can come back and finish this one. This is a really interesting one. I'd like you to consider that, especially in the next week, we will hand out assignment 2, and that would super helpful. Any questions? Any more questions? Sorry, Sean, I tried to unmute you, but I don't know why the unmute button does not always work on my side. Yeah, that there was some lag, but later, I think after we came back from the breakout room, my unmute function kind of
I don't want to get
Probably, I'm not looking.
Yes, John.
yeah, somebody muted me, and
I think there is a problem with this Zoom because there is a lag here. When I unmute anyone, then it takes a time. In the meanwhile, I just click it again and it's muted. So it's okay. We all have to understand these problems while doing online course. You know,
okay.
we can't do anything.
Okay. So then that's all for today. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate your effort. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.